Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel, and I got a few topics for this particular Moon Lambeau hot jam, including some tweets from a Ripple executive, and he's talking about. Well, first of all, he started out with this. One of the tweets I actually did share the other day, but then the thread proceeded. I want to share the rest because it gets a lot more interesting. But he went on effectively to share why he thinks the crypto market in general is going the way that it's going. So for us as XRP holders, as XRP's just been going nuts over the last couple days in particular, it's all sorts of factors along the lines of what he was discussing that has led to that, and it's just the beginning, certainly in my humble opinion. And also want to talk about the safety of claiming Spark tokens. Look, I'm going to do it, but I get asked from time to time, like, is it actually safe? Are we putting ourselves at risk? And, well, I'll get into the specifics. I'll share with you a little bit more, but you just got to make sure that whatever you're using to claim your Spark tokens is trustworthy if you're doing it yourself, and if you're using a cryptocurrency exchange, hopefully it's not a shady one, right? And then I've got this article from Zero Hedge titled, JPMorgan admits it was wrong about end of Bitcoin bull run, renews $140,000 plus price forecast. Think about this. How about that JPMorgan, Jamie Dimon? It's poison, effectively. Bitcoin and crypto, it's nonsense. It's going to be going to zero. From that to, we think Bitcoin's going to be worth over $140,000. Oh man, it takes some people a while to catch on here, but hey, everybody's welcome to the party. As long as we all get here, it's going to be fine. Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you would please ever so delicately tap the like button, I would appreciate the support. And also, if you would consider subscribing to the Moon Lambeau channel, because I promise that if you do, you might not regret it. So there we go. I did want to say thanks real quick. I tweeted this out the other day, but I need to mention it here. My channel hit 40,000 subscribers on YouTube the other day, and I just wanted to send a very sincere thank you out to everybody listening, because I was never convinced that I'd ever hit such a level. I've just had a blast running this channel for almost 2 years to this point, and it's just been astonishing to see this grow and see how supportive the XRP community is. And so I just want you to know, listening to this, that this is not something that I take for granted, and my brain explode when I see stuff like this happen and the continued growth. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, so much. I couldn't be more appreciative and thankful. All right, so here's a tweet from Ashish Burla. He is the GM of RippleNet, and he was actually one of Ripple's original employees. He's been around for quite some time here, and he just recently was promoted to that position as a GM, General Manager of RippleNet. And so this first tweet is the only one that I previously shared on the channel. And he wrote, this crypto rally feels like 2017 on Twitter and 2019 outside of it. And that concept just rang true to me. Everybody and their grandma was talking about crypto in 2017, just in general, all over the entire planet. Certainly, I mean, what family celebrating Thanksgiving was not talking about crypto? I mean, that's just how it was. Same for Christmas, even that year, 2017. And so on Twitter, certainly, it feels like that environment again. But the rest of the world, it's like they're not even here. Like you don't see mainstream media pushing for this. And I guess it's because these price levels have happened before, but it took years for the market to correct the way that it did, to fully retrace, and then for Bitcoin to climb back up. And so eventually mainstream media, I firmly believe, will jump back in, but they just haven't yet. And so, it's a reasonable question to ask, okay, why is this all happening? And so there's just some additional insight from Ashish Burla. Somebody named Parker wrote to Ashish here on Twitter and wrote, I wasn't here for either run. Do you mind fleshing out that statement? I'd value your perspective. And Ashish Burla did respond. And you can see there's a little gif there with a cricket that says chirp, chirp. And what he wrote here was, taxi cab drivers were giving me advice on crypto in 2017, and I was doing several media and venture capitalist inquiries a month. This time it's been crickets. Nothing. It's why, like, again, the way that he wrote that, it just rang true to me. I was like, yeah, blowing up on Twitter. And, like, my friends and family that bought crypto in 2017, and, like, pretty much all of them did, they haven't been paying attention since. And if they're still holding anything they bought 3 years ago, they probably have no idea that it's even gone up lately. Like, they probably don't. They're just not even freaking paying attention. And that's fine. Everybody's got their own interests in life. I'm just commenting because it's just fascinating to me. But somebody else responded to him and wrote, how do you interpret this leap? As maturity? Is it because it's institutionally led instead of retail like in 2017? Do you think this organic growth, less hype, will mean a longer bull cycle? And Ashish did respond to that, and I found this to be fascinating. He wrote, maybe a bit macro effects like why Bitcoin was created in the first place, lack of trust in banks and the financial system. 2020 governments printing money and zero interest rates. And so, and I absolutely firmly believe there's a ton of truth to that. Whether or not we need this hedge, people, the narrative's real, and people are acting accordingly. Because even, look, I understand what happened in March when the crypto asset class tanked because it followed the stock market, got it. But all sorts of people still are jumping in because crypto assets are scarce, provably scarce. Many of them, XRP specifically, is actually deflationary. With every single transaction, a little baby boo bit of it gets burnt and it's gone forever. And so if there's an asset that you believe is going to stay around, effectively forever because it's getting used for stuff, and it's scarce but other people need it, might that be a good purchase, especially given that there's almost no money in the asset class? And so, like, people that do their own research, they're coming to these types of conclusions. And to be clear, I don't have a financial background. I am not offering financial advice, so don't buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just happy to share my everyday Joe Schmo opinion, but that's certainly the way that I look at this. And then this gentleman responded and wrote, yeah, agree. And also, all the players jumping in from PayPal to Fidelity and Wall Street and major investors opening up. BlackRock yesterday. The XRP run, although started in Asia. And so, I actually had missed the BlackRock thing as well, but he wrote here, BlackRock CIO praised Bitcoin and crypto as here to stay. Bitcoin as a better store of value than gold for a digital age, etc., which is all stuff that I agree with and makes all the sense in the world to me. All right, then you got this. Jamie Hogarth, shout out to you, my friend, wrote to me on Twitter and wrote, how are you feeling about the Flare airdrop, Matt? For some reason, I'm still a little skeptical, primarily about the safety aspect surrounding self-custody wallets, such as a ledger. I'm new to the space, so my fears are probably newbie-related. What's your take? Well, look, as far as your fears, it's better to be fearful than just, like, blissfully unaware of the fact that there are risks in the world of crypto, so I don't fault you one bit there. And to be perfectly honest with you, anytime I do anything with my crypto, I get nervous. And I just, even though I've done it, like, even just moving XRP, like, I know how to freaking do it, but I'm like, what if I do something horrendously wrong? And so, like, there's just something in where I'm like, God, please don't mess this up for some reason. Don't get sloppy with whatever that is, whatever the hell you're doing, Matt. And so totally get it. I'm probably always going to be like that. And it's probably only going to get worse as as what XRP is worth compared to United States dollars increases. Yeah. Now, as far as the Spark token airdrop you're talking about here, yeah, I don't. There's nothing. So to be clear, there's no evidence whatsoever that there's some sort of conspiracy and that there's some sort of scam out there. My fears surround people taking advantage of the situation and tricking people. So just make sure that you're never typing in your private key or your seed phrase anywhere, because in order to claim your Spark tokens, you will never ever have to do that. And if you have software that's telling you to do that, then you have malicious software and you need to just, like, light your computer on fire or something like that, because, like, that is dangerous at that point. And so you just got to make sure that you're utilizing a source. Like, for instance, if you're using a ledger, like, which is the case for me, I'm assuming what I'm going to do is use XRP Toolkit. Again, I have not done this yet, and I'll be happy to share my experience when I do it. But that's the route I suspect that I'm going to go, because I really don't want to put my cryptocurrency on exchanges. There's a risk to anything, technically. But as long as I don't get tricked and download some sort of malicious, form of the XRP Toolkit, like a fake version of XRP Toolkit, it's probably fine. It's probably going to be perfectly safe. And so I'm going to take the risk. I don't see it as some sort of horrendous risk. The real risk comes if you're getting tricked by somebody. But if you're utilizing actual reputable software, then we have all the reason in the world to believe that that's completely legit. So that's, in a nutshell, that's my take on that. But Jamie, great question. Totally respect where you're coming from, and your fears are perfectly reasonable. I've been here 3 years, and still when I do this, I know me, and I'm just going to be a little bit nervous. Like, I'll be like, because I'll be asking myself the same thing. I'll be like, this is the real XRP toolkit, right? Like, no, I'm not getting scammed, right? Because that would be devastating. So those are the types of things, with however unlikely. So I'm just going to be as diligent as possible, and I certainly suspect everything's going to be perfectly fine here. That's into this piece from Zero Hedge. JPMorgan admits it was wrong about end of Bitcoin bull run, renews $140,000 plus price forecast. All right, at the time of this writing, the cryptocurrency known as Bitcoin has seen its value skyrocket to around $19,000 after dropping down to around $4,840 in mid-March. This is significant because the all-time high for the cryptocurrency is $19,783 back in December of 2017, only to drop down to as low as $3,122. Now, within the past year, the price of Bitcoin has more than doubled, posting close to a $10,000 in growth in the last 2 months alone. And as Ethan Yang writes at the American Institute for Economic Research, with most of the news attention on the pandemic, the presidential election, and so on, it is understandable that the meteoric rise of Bitcoin may have slipped past casual observers, as it did not receive the attention it received in 2017. However, what makes this rapid growth interesting is that there are a number of important circumstances that might be paving the way for Bitcoin to sustain its ongoing trend. It is undeniable that the monetary limits of fiat currency are being tested around the world as governments print trillions of dollars for stimulus packages in reaction to the pandemic. And the World Resources Institute writes, quote, in response to the massive economic contraction stemming from the pandemic, some central banks, including those in the United States, European Union, Japan, and other major economies, are engaging in quantitative easing programs on an unprecedented scale. And you may know what that means, probably, hopefully at this point most. That's just another way of saying money printing. Quantitative easing, it's money printing. The United States alone has printed trillions of dollars and has far outspent what it has brought in with tax dollars, creating an unprecedented level of debt. And Forbes wrote the following. For the first time, U.S. debt is now about equal to GDP, like the sound barrier we once thought if we hit it, we might explode. That's a fun quote, actually. Anyway, this level of spending and money creation has likely driven many investors to Bitcoin, as it may serve as a safe haven as the value of fiat currencies like the U.S. dollar comes into question. Furthermore, it is uncertain how the stock market, which has been the main beneficiary of quantitative easing, will react when such policies eventually subside. Since the 2008 recession, money injections from the Federal Reserve have continued at a constant rate, and the value of the S&P 500 has moved in step with spending. And so this creates a disconnect between financial markets and the actual productiveness of the economy. And Bitcoin may serve as an alternative investment vehicle for those who are wary of an unsustainable securities market. And I'll say, even for me personally, like, that is something that I factor in when I'm looking at all this. I personally have been looking at it through such a lens for years to this point. Now, let me go down a little bit further because I don't want to go through this whole piece here. Even large established banks like JPMorgan are starting to experiment with cryptocurrencies. As Yahoo Finance reports, and here's a quote, indeed, at the DealBook Summit on November 18th, Jamie Dimon said the blockchain itself will be critical to letting people move money around the world cheaper. We will always support blockchain technology. In May, JPMorgan went a step further when it began allowing customer transfers to and from Coinbase and Gemini to U.S.-based regulated crypto exchange sites, and Dimon on Wednesday acknowledged that some very smart people are investing in Bitcoin these days. How about that? Isn't he the one that threatened to fire people at his firm if they were buying Bitcoin? I'm pretty damn sure that was him. It's just complete absurdity, but Anyway, this stands in stark contrast to his 2017 comments of CNBC when he said, in September 2017, about 3 months before Bitcoin hit an all-time high of nearly $20,000 per unit and crashed shortly thereafter, Diamond dropped a bomb on the crypto world, and he called it a fraud. It's complete nonsense here. So you can see the direction everything's going, my friends. The genie's out of the bottle, and this absolutely is not going away. Even if we're wrong about individual coins, the asset class is here to stay, because there's all sorts of stuff possible with crypto that otherwise would not be possible. And I think that it's important to be aware of all this stuff. And so the fact that, JPMorgan's come this far, and they're now projecting over $140,000 ultimately, it's just purely astonishing, and I personally love it. It just adds to the fun of the ride, even as an XRP holder. But that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.